Hello and a very warm welcome, and here's wishing you all a very happy new year. I'm Molly Gambhir, this is Gravitas. Let's get started. It is only the beginning of a brand new year and a lot has happened already. On Gravitas tonight, our top story comes from Taiwan. It now has hypersonic missiles that can strike China's capital. What would that mean? Also, look at the message that Xi Jinping is sending out. No one can stop China-Taiwan reunification, according to him. Stay with us as we decode all of that for you. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. A horrific attack in America's New Orleans amid New Year celebrations saw a pickup truck ramming into a crowd. What happened after that? What's the latest? We tell you. The first day of the new year saw Russia launching an aerial attack on Kiev. How massive was it? What kind of destruction was caused? We tell you all that you need to know. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels and the Israeli forces carried out attacks against each other. The Houthi group claimed it shot down a US MQ-9 drone in the airspace of the oil-rich province of Marib. All this and much more coming up. Our top story tonight on Gravitas is about Taiwan and China. Taiwan now has hypersonic missiles that can strike China's capital, Beijing, capable of causing utter devastation. A day ago, the Chinese President Xi Jinping said that no one can stop China's unification with Taiwan. Xi Jinping, remember, has made it clear China will invade Taiwan in 2027, no matter what the stakes are. As per reports in Taiwanese media, with a budget of $411 million US, Taiwan has developed and modified its existing Yunfeng-2 supersonic land attack cruise missile into the Qing-Tian hypersonic cruise missile, and this missile has reportedly entered mass production and gradually is being delivered to the Taiwan Air Force for deployment, marking the first time reportedly that the Taiwanese military possesses such a weapon. With a range that can reach deep into northern China, as far as Hohhot, the capital of China's Inner Mongolia region. The missile reportedly has a range of over 2,000 kilometers, and Beijing is located around 1,850 kilometers from Taiwan, meaning the missile is well within the range to strike China's capital. And these missiles can reportedly be launched via mobile missile vehicles. And as per local reports, Taiwan is in the process of acquiring such vehicles from the Czech Republic. That's not all. A National Institute of Science and Technology in Taiwan's Taoyuan city is also working towards upgrading the Qing-Tian supersonic cruise missile to a hypersonic cruise missile, adding to Taiwan's strike capabilities. But does possessing a hypersonic cruise missile mean that Taiwan can strike China without any major difficulties? Not exactly. China's HQ-19 is an anti-ballistic missile system that reportedly has a detection range of 4,000 kilometers. And it can intercept targets located nearly 3,000 kilometers away. So, can Taiwan's hypersonic cruise missiles make their way through this system? No one knows yet. But Taiwan may have taken this into account when developing these missiles, perhaps. Who knows? Let's just play out for you this excerpt from China's President Xi Jinping's address to the nation. Listen to this.
The people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are one family. No one can sever our family bonds, and no one can stop the historical trend of national reunification.
You heard that. The Chinese leader has laid down a clear warning to 23 million Taiwanese. And how has Taiwan reacted to this? The Taiwan president at the New Year's Day press conference in Taipei said the country must be prepared for danger and boost its defense spending.
Being friends with the world through democracy is a way to ensure stability and peace. The safer Taiwan is, the safer the world will be. The stronger Taiwan is, the more solid the world's democratic defense line will be. Democracies should unite to jointly resolve the Russia-Ukraine war and conflicts between Israel and Gaza and safeguard the security of Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific.
The Taiwanese president's comments could not come at a more crucial time, not just due to Xi Jinping's comments, but also due to the fact that throughout 2024, Beijing stepped up military pressure near Taiwan, sending warships and planes almost daily into the waters and the airspace around the island. What the Taiwanese officials termed as an effort by China to quote-unquote normalize its military presence. So the question is, how will China react to Taiwan's hypersonic cruise missiles? Will it lead to more instances of deployment around the Taiwan Strait with scales surpassing those before? At this point, we don't know the answer to that. What we do know for sure is that tensions between Taiwan and China have reached a more critical juncture. New Year celebrations in America's New Orleans ended in a horrific attack when a pickup truck rammed into a crowd, killing 10 people and injuring 35. The attack took place at 3:15 a.m. local time. The suspect, whose identity is still unknown, was killed. According to eyewitnesses, the attacker, who was wearing full body armor, fired from an assault rifle. What else do we know? The mayor of New Orleans initially stated that the incident was an act of terror. Then the FBI dismissed that statement, but later confirmed that they were treating it as an act of terror and were investigating it. Listen in.
Good morning. First of all, we do know that the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack. It's all still under investigation. You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and of course a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy. In addition to that, I'm asking the public to stay clear of 8 blocks around Bourbon Street. Stay clear from Bourbon Street, 8 blocks around.
Louisiana governor described the act as horrific violence. Mourners and survivors are demanding answers as the investigation unfolds. Federal agents are also investigating explosives found at the scene. The police chief saying the driver fired at the police and struck 2 police officers after his vehicle crashed.
It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. It was not a DUI situation. This is a more complex and more serious based on the information we have right now.
Now, this devastating incident highlighting a disturbing trend. The use of vehicles as weapons. Vehicles have increasingly been used in attacks, exploiting their accessibility and deadly potential. In December 2024, 5 people were killed, over 200 injured in Germany in a similar vehicle ramming attack. Now, these assaults often vary in motive. These assaults, in fact, some are carried out by groups like ISIS or Al-Qaeda that prefer low-cost, high-impact attacks. Others stem from mental illness, political extremism, or personal grievances. Similar attacks have been seen in Germany, the UK, France. Far-right extremists, lone wolf attackers, even those motivated by misogynistic ideologies have turned vehicles into tools of destruction. The simplicity of these attacks making them hard to predict and prevent, posing a significant challenge to the law enforcement officials worldwide. And here's what else happened on the first day of 2025. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels and Israeli forces carried out attacks against each other. The Houthi group claimed it shot down a US MQ-9 drone in the airspace of the oil-rich province of Marib. In fact, the group claims it is the second US drone they shot down in 72 hours and the 14th one since October 2023.
بعون الله تعالى تمكنت الدفاعات الجوية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية من إسقاط طائرة أمريكية نوع MQ-9 وذلك أثناء قيامها بتنفيذ مهام عدائية في أجواء محافظة مأرب. تمت عملية إسقاط الطائرة بصاروخ أرض جو محلي الصنع، وتعد هذه الطائرة هي الثانية التي تمكنت دفاعاتنا الجوية من إسقاطها خلال 72 ساعة، والرابعة عشرة خلال معركة الفتح الموعود والجهاد المقدس إسنادا لغزة.
The US claims to have conducted multiple precision strikes in Yemen's capital and the coastal areas. The visuals on your screen are from Yemen's capital that were filmed by a resident. Iran's supreme leader has challenged the West and vowed victory for the axis of resistance in Yemen.
نماد مقاومت و پیروز خواهد شد. یمن هم نماد مقاومت و پیروز خواهد شد و انشاءالله دشمن و متجاوزین در رأس همه اونها آمریکای طماع و جنایتکار مجبور خواهند شد دست از سر مردم منطقه و ملت‌های منطقه بردارن و با ذلت از این منطقه انشاءالله خارج بشن.
Yemen's rebel group previously targeted Israel's airport near Tel Aviv and a power station south of Jerusalem using a hypersonic ballistic missile and a Zulfikar ballistic missile. In fact, in the Red Sea. And the Houthis targeted Israeli cargo ships or those associated with Tel Aviv with missiles and drones in a show of support with the Gaza Strip, where over 45,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. Despite the US strikes on Sana'a, the Yemenis have vowed to carry on with their unwavering support of Gaza and the Palestinian people in the new year.
ونحب أن نتمنى في هذا العام الجديد إن الله يأيدنا بنصره وينصر المستضعفين في غزة وإحنا معهم حتى الموت وندي في عزم وإرادة في كل ما استطعنا من قوة.
The first day of the new year also saw Russia launching an aerial attack on Kiev that killed at least 2 people. Ukraine State Emergency Services saying 6 people were injured. 4 were pulled out from the rubble after the Russian drones were fired towards the Ukrainian capital. The attack came just a few hours after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed in a New Year's message that he will do everything possible to bring the war to an end over the next 12 months. The Ukrainian officials claim the Russian drones targeted the capital's Pechersky district. That is home to the presidential palace and government quarters. The National Bank of Ukraine said in a statement that one of its buildings was damaged in the attack after debris from one of the downed drones set fire to the roof of the bank's building. The mayor of Kiev confirmed that the debris also damaged a non-residential building in a different neighborhood. Despite both sides ramping up their aerial attacks over the last 2 months, seeking to gain an upper hand in the conflict ahead, the course of the war remains uncertain. As the United States President-elect Donald Trump is set to take office in January, Moscow has carried out regular airstrikes, remember, on Ukrainian towns and cities far beyond the front lines in its nearly 3-year-old invasion. On Tuesday, Russia claimed its forces struck a Ukrainian military airport with high-precision weapons. While Ukraine on the same day reported destroying an oil depot of Russia, the Ukrainian Air Force saying it has shot down more than 1,300 various types of Russian missiles, 11,200 attack drones, 40 Russian military aircraft in 2024. China is building the world's largest dam in Tibet, in the upper stream of the Brahmaputra. This river flows into India and Bangladesh, sustaining millions of lives. The project raises serious questions, like, could it help China control the lifeline of South Asia? Take a look at this report.
China is embarking on one of its most ambitious projects, building a mammoth super dam on the Yarlung Tsangpo River. The project dwarfs even the massive Three Gorges Dam and can provide Beijing unprecedented control over water security of millions of people living downstream. The proposed construction in Tibet's deepest canyon promises to generate a staggering 60 million kilowatts of hydropower, triple the output of Three Gorges. Yet beneath the clean energy facade lies a potentially devastating geopolitical weapon. The Yarlung Tsangpo River in Tibet transforms into the Brahmaputra as it flows into India and Bangladesh, providing 30% of India's freshwater besides serving as Bangladesh's lifeline.
The super dam was actually approved by China's rubber stamp parliament in March 2021, and subsequent to that, they announced in the same year the opening of a new highway and a new railroad to this particular remote region. And then, again in 2021, China officially included this super dam project in its new 5-year economic development plan. So in other words, the latest reports in the Chinese media about the so-called approval actually should be construed as a suggestion that work on this project is already well underway.
The super dam could create a deadly twin disaster scenario: water scarcity during winter months when China restricts flow, or catastrophic flooding when monsoon waters are released. India's northeastern state of Assam, already prone to floods, faces a grave risk. The Brahmaputra and its tributaries make 39% of Assam flood-prone. Studies have shown that sedimentation and erosion are increasing, making floods more frequent and destructive. A super dam upstream could amplify these issues, threatening millions of lives downstream. India and China at the moment have no comprehensive treaty outlining water allocation. As climate change reshapes rainfall and river dynamics, controlling a river as powerful as the Brahmaputra could radically shift the regional power balance. For India and Bangladesh, the Brahmaputra is not just a river, it's life itself.
Amid growing tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan, some reports hint at Islamabad preparing to take control of the Wakhan corridor in Afghanistan. In the latest, Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence Chief, General Asim Munir, met with the president of Tajikistan. The Tajik presidential office, in fact, saying the talks focus on ensuring peace and regional stability. Tajikistan hosts leaders of Afghan National Resistance Front. It is one of the few regional countries, in fact, that does not have regional diplomatic ties with the Taliban. Over the past 3 years, since the Taliban took over in Afghanistan, Tajikistan has consistently raised concern over terrorist presence in the country. Latest reports suggesting Pakistan diplomats are considering to forge ties with groups opposed to the Taliban if Afghanistan does not curb attacks by Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or the TTP. The reports of Pakistani forces initiating action to capture Wakhan emerged after the recent clashes between the Taliban and the Pakistani military forces. On Monday, the Taliban police spokesperson said Afghanistan security forces are fully prepared to respond to any foreign threats at the borders. The Wakhan corridor, which is also called Afghanistan's chicken neck, is a strategically significant region in northeastern Afghanistan, sharing borders with China, Tajikistan and Pakistan. The corridor is around 220 kilometers long and between 16 to 64 kilometers narrow area in the far northeast of Afghanistan. The region is mostly very rugged, mountain country. The corridor is a minor trade route that connects to China's Xinjiang region. It also separates Tajikistan's Gorno-Badakhshan autonomous region to the north from Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in the south. The Taliban saying it has no information of Pakistani soldiers being present in the Afghan territory. Badakhshan's Taliban police command spokesperson has said the Taliban forces are monitoring the borders. Meanwhile, Taliban's acting interior minister Sirajuddin Haqqani met with China's ambassador to Kabul, Zhao Xing, to discuss the strategic importance of the corridor. Recently, the ties between Afghanistan and Pakistan have soured after the airstrikes by the Pakistani fighter jets in Afghanistan and the clashes between the two armed forces along the border. South Korean investigators have intensified their probe into Sunday's air crash that killed 179 people in the worst aviation disaster on its soil. South Korea has sent the 2 retrieved black boxes to the US for analysis. The crash, the country's worst aviation disaster in decades, has sparked grief, anger, and an urgent call for answers.
Grief mingles with growing frustration as South Korea grapples with its deadliest aviation disaster in decades. Long queues at Muan Airport's memorial altar. Devastated families offer flowers and tearful bows to loved ones who lost their lives in South Korea's worst plane crash. Days after the crash, critical questions remain unanswered. Experts have flagged a potential hydraulic system failure, noting the absence of flap movement in the crash footage, vital for slowing the plane. Investigators hope for vital cues from the data of the 2 black boxes. Flight recorders, known as black boxes, are fitted on airplanes to record in-flight information. There are 2 types of black boxes generally located at the back of the aircraft. The cockpit voice recorder captures pilot conversations and sounds from the cockpit, while the flight data recorder tracks technical flight details such as plane altitude, speed, temperature, and flight path. Investigators are likely to focus on hydraulic systems and manual overrides for landing gear. What caused the catastrophic failure remains unclear. Now, South Korean authorities face mounting pressure to explain how a routine landing turned into a catastrophic fireball that claimed 179 lives.
Currently, South Korea's investigators, along with the US National Transportation Safety Board and manufacturer, are conducting a joint investigation of the cause of the accident. The cause of the accident will be revealed by comprehensively analyzing and reviewing detailed investigations of the aircraft, fuselage, and the black box.
Aviation experts are also increasingly questioning the wisdom of placing a concrete antenna housing directly in the crash zone, suggesting lighter materials might have lessened the impact's devastating effect. As the probe unfolds, the nation grapples with its grief, united by the hope that lessons from this tragedy will prevent future disasters.
Korea is currently going through a period of various challenges, with many unfavorable situations arising. I believe this is a time when we are being tested, and it is an opportunity for us to show our resilience once again.
Many New Year's Eve celebrations across South Korea were cancelled or toned down as the country marks 7 days of official mourning. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
On to North Korea now. It has unveiled a new destroyer equipped with an advanced missile system that will become the largest warship in its growing navy. In fact, the exact specifications of the ship are not known. Reports indicating it will have a beam of around 50 feet and is likely to be approximately 330 feet from bow to stern at more than 3,600 tons. More than 3,600 tons. It will be significantly larger than the 1,360-ton frigate that is presently the largest in the North's maritime armory. Also, if we look at the bow, there is an empty area directly in front of the main superstructure that is expected to house vertical missile systems capable of firing cruise or guided missiles. State media released images of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inspecting the ship at a facility that analysts believe was the Nampo dockyard on the west coast of the country. In the last few years, Kim Jong-un has indicated that he intends to step up the development and the output of the domestic shipbuilding industry at the same time as strengthening the country's naval capabilities. In fact, a few months ago, he inspected a site for a new naval base, revealing plans to construct a Navy port capable of operating large, modern surface and underwater vessels to accelerate war preparedness. 5 years ago, COVID-19 was first reported in China's Wuhan. And years later, the question still remains if the world is ready for another pandemic. The ongoing spread of a novel bird flu strain, specifically the H5N1, is causing alarm among the people and animal health officials across the United States as it continues to infect various species. The spread of the strain has raised concern that the virus could mutate into a form transmissible between human beings, potentially triggering a pandemic, which could bring the world to a halt in a similar way as COVID-19. In fact, the National Public Health Agency of the US reportedly found bird flu mutations in a patient in Louisiana. The CDC said in a statement that the Louisiana case of bird flu marks the first instance of severe illness that is linked to the virus within the US. And as the situation evolves, the agricultural and health communities remain on high alert, working to mitigate the impact of this potentially devastating virus. The recent detection of H5N1 in non-commercial pigs on a farm in Oregon, US, marks a significant development in the spread of the virus. Recently, the CDC announced on December 18 the first severe case of H5N1 in America. That patient had been exposed to sick and deceased birds in backyard flocks. Whereas a notable case of a child in California marking the first reported instance of H5N1 in a US minor. Meanwhile, the National Public Health Agency of the US has reported that the current risk to individual and population health remains low and has not significantly changed from the most recent assessment done on a similar H5N1 virus that caused an outbreak among mink in 2023 in Spain. According to a study published in the journal Science in early December, the virus strain found in dairy cows in the US may only need one mutation for it to be able to spread among human beings. The CDC continuing to emphasize the importance of stringent biosecurity measures to manage the spread of H5N1. These include enhanced surveillance, immediate culling of infected stocks, and ongoing public health advisories to limit human exposure to the virus. Shifting focus for now, a U.S. court has ruled that plea deals reached for Al-Qaeda leader Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and two other defendants in the 9/11 attacks can proceed. The Military Appeals Court ruled against U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's effort to throw out the deals. The decision basically puts back on track the agreements that would have the three men plead guilty to one of the attacks in exchange for being spared the possibility of the death penalty. The attacks killed nearly 3,000 people on September 11, 2001 and spurred U.S. invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq. According to a U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity, the Military Appeals Court released its ruling Monday night. The military prosecutors and defense attorneys for Mohammed, the accused mastermind of the attacks, and two co-defendants, Walid Muhammad Salih Mubarak bin Atash and Mustafa Ahmad Adam al-Hawsawi, reached the plea agreements after 2 years of government-approved negotiations. Supporters of the plea agreements see them as a way of resolving the legally troubled case against the men at the U.S. Military Commission at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba. Much of the focus of pre-trial arguments has been on how torture of the men while in CIA custody in the first years after their detention may taint the overall evidence in the case. Within days of news of the plea deal this summer, Austin issued a brief order saying he was nullifying them. He cited the gravity of the 9/11 attacks, saying that as Defense Secretary, he should decide on any plea agreements that would spare the defendants the possibility of execution. However, defense lawyers said Austin had no legal authority to reject a decision already approved by the Guantanamo court's top authority and said the move amounted to unlawful interference in the case. On to France now. President Emmanuel Macron looked back at a turbulent 2024 in his New Year's Eve address and took the responsibility for instability caused by dissolving the parliament and calling for snap elections halfway through the year. Macron called the snap elections after a far-right national rally made significant gains in the European Parliament elections. He hoped for clarity from the French people, but he got a more fractured parliament in return, causing months of political deadlock that still continues. In fact, in his statement, Macron said, and I'm quoting here, "I must acknowledge this evening that my decision to dissolve the French National Assembly has brought more instability to the Assembly than solutions for the French. If I decided that dissolution, it was to give you back the floor, to regain clarity and avoid the inaction that was looming. But lucidity and humility lead me to recognize that at this time, this decision led to more instability than serenity, and I take my responsibility." France has entered 2025 without a budget after Michel Barnier failed to draw consensus on the budget proposals, triggering government collapse for the country. In fact, Macron has now appointed François Bayrou at the helm of minority government that is tasked with working his way through a fractured parliament. It's not just legislative affairs that have been impacted by Macron's snap election gamble. He also paid a personal price as his popularity remains in trenches. In his New Year's Eve address, Macron also opened the door to use referendums this year, saying that he would ask the French people to decide on decisive issues. The French constitution grants powers to the president to initiate referendums. In 2024, two standout performing assets have been Bitcoin and the dollar. The real question, though, is which of those two will be the world's currency by the end of 2025. Take a look at this report as we focused on the factors favoring the real currency and the virtual token.
Thanks to hawkish Federal Reserve forecast and a strong US economy, the dollar reached a two-year high at the end of 2014, marking the currency's best year in nearly a decade. This is largely due to robust domestic growth, a strong labor market, and persistent inflation that is higher than the Federal Reserve's 2% objective. Trump 2.0 is another factor influencing bets in favor of the greenback. That is apart from US policymakers' decision to reduce their expectations for monetary easing next year. In contrast to many other industrialized nations, the United States' booming economy is making waves. The currency's safe haven status has worked to its advantage, and it is expected to continue in 2025. The risk of Trump's trade tariffs have also strengthened the dollar. The dollar is the most favored Trump trade in play for next year. On the other hand, the chart-busting rally in cryptos in 2024 is now showing major turnaround from the pandemic lows. The market value of cryptos has surged to nearly $4 trillion. Bitcoin in particular has seen over a 150% rally in 2024, with the OG token surging to a new all-time high above $108,000. However, the momentum in Bitcoin's rally has now taken a hit. This comes on the back of a hawkish Fed. With cryptos failing in the final victory lap of the year, the dramatic surge in Bitcoin trading activity demonstrates a strong uptick in interest from wider financial market participants. Speculation over Bitcoin has reached a fever pitch known as FOMO, fear of missing out. Trump's promise to free the crypto industry from regulatory constraints has strengthened the demand for crypto exchange-traded funds, also known as ETFs. Institutional investors are on a tear with Bitcoin and Ethereum bets, and they are pursuing the OG token's price higher and higher. Predictions are for Bitcoin to reach $500,000 or even $1 million. Those bets are already at play due to the enticing promise of a US strategic Bitcoin reserve. Bitcoin was once dismissed as the wild fantasies of crypto zealots. However, many of the previously quoted exaggerated price predictions for the initial coin are now becoming more plausible. $100,000 per Bitcoin was called a fantasy not too long ago. However, that is the reality today. Remember that the value of this asset has skyrocketed from 5 cents in 2010. ETFs have mitigated the perceived danger of investing in a crypto-native firm like FTX, which went bankrupt in 2022 and sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency market to a large extent. The market's institutional whales' wallets are getting fatter and fatter. There need to be more sellers to keep prices from skyrocketing. This is true among the original Bitcoiners who are hesitant to sell. So this asset class is here to stay, and 2025 promises to be an even better year for cryptos. However, when compared to the dollar, Bitcoin bets seem less assured. The reasons are clear. Trump's trade and foreign policies are expected to be inflationary. That is likely to keep the Fed's cutting cycle in check. The Fed's easing is a big driver of Bitcoin. A Bitcoin rally is fizzling in the final days of a record-breaking year for the digital asset. While supported by Trump's administration, the crypto token will be more measured by the Fed's action. With the US central bank looking beyond the near term, bets in favor of the dollar have surged. What helps the greenback more is the currency's safe haven appeal. This comes despite the world's de-dollarization efforts, especially those countries which face the United States' weaponization of the currency in geopolitics. While countries look to move away from the greenback in foreign trade, the dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and experts say that this trend is here to stay.
If you were to be asked who drinks more, is it boys or is it girls? While you may want to toss a coin to answer that, or maybe not even answer that, a study has now revealed that teenage girls in the UK are more likely to get repeatedly drunk than their peers and outpace counterparts from almost anywhere else in Europe. What accounts for this? Let's just break this down for you. You know, when it comes to outpacing one in drinking, it seems no one can beat girls in the UK, as per research by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD. In fact, British girls have contenders from just 3 countries: Hungary, Denmark, and Italy. The only places where teenage girls can outdrink girls in the UK. And that's not all. The study that examined drinking habits across 34 countries also revealing more than a third of girls in the UK aged at 15 have been drunk at least twice, compared with less than a quarter of boys the same age. Experts placing the blame on alcohol companies, which they say are heavily targeting young women with ads. And what do these ads show, you ask? As per reports, the ads allegedly link alcohol consumption to a feminine practice and market it in a way that is pushing girls to resort to heavy drinking. When teenagers, more specifically 15-year-olds, were asked if they had been drunk at least twice, the average for boys and girls together in the UK was 29%, as compared to an EU average of 23%. Alcohol consumption has serious consequences for one's health. According to medical experts, higher rates of drinking can directly impact the liver and cause liver-related diseases. Experts suggest the first drink for teenagers should be delayed for as long as possible, and more awareness is required to prevent young girls from falling for marketing gimmicks. An Italian newspaper has named Benito Mussolini Man of the Year, sparking outrage on social media. Libero ran the headline over a large image of a bronze head of the dictator who was responsible for wiping off democracy in the 1920s, Italy. Take a look. And time now for our special segment of How is Technology Changing the World, where we talk about new innovations and inventions that hold the power to change life, both good and bad.
From robots to modern warfare, rollable TVs to foldable phones, technology is changing our daily lives. One of such tech is drones. Drones are proving to be versatile, valuable, and, above all, fascinating. The latest being deliveries via drones. Parcels usually take days to arrive at your doorstep. It starts with the dispatch process, where your order is prepared and packaged. Then comes the shipping phase, and finally, there's the delivery process. That's when your package makes its last-mile journey to your home. Now, picture a world where your online orders could reach you anywhere on the planet in less than an hour. Not by trucks or by motorbikes, but by drones. That future might be closer than you think. Large corporations like Amazon, DHL, and FedEx have already started to use drone delivery services. Drone deliveries are not only efficient, but also significantly speed up delivery times, provide last-mile connectivity, and help save labor costs. According to a 2021 report by Wipro, the size of the global drone package delivery market is estimated to reach $8 billion by 2027. In 2022, Israel became one of the very few countries in the world to successfully test drone delivery service.
Here we have a system that knows how to pick up packages from a drone. Once the package has been received, the system knows how to safely store it inside a special locker.
China too is not far behind. In 2023, the Chinese government pledged to develop its low-altitude economy. The idea is to cut down delivery times for perishable goods and essential medicines.
On certain foggy days, light rain, or island scenarios with strong sea waves, transportation, either sea or air, may be suspended, leading to delays in the timely delivery of daily necessities, such as fruit and vegetables to the island, either on the same day or the following day. In these special scenarios, our transportation service can ensure the timely delivery of logistics.
The fast nature of drone deliveries and their ability to reach remote locations are proving extremely helpful in healthcare delivery. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the US relied heavily on drones to deliver COVID testing kits to remote distant locations. Meanwhile, UK residents may soon be able to get their medicines delivered to them via drones. Last year, UK's Civil Aviation Authority said they are planning to allow drones to deliver critical medical supplies to its citizens. Moreover, NHS Blood and Transplant, UK's National Health Service, said drones can be used as a safe mode for transporting blood packs. While the possibilities of using drones to deliver goods and services are limitless, one cannot ignore the negative impact it will have on the employment sector. Drone delivery services could significantly reduce the demand for human delivery drivers, impacting jobs in sectors like courier services, food delivery, and package delivery. Moreover, with automated drone systems, the need for human warehouse workers for tasks like order picking and packing might also diminish. While large-scale adoption of drones for delivery look promising, policymakers and businesses must ensure this technology helps enhance human potential and not replace it.
A nunnery of Kung Fu nuns in Nepal has reopened to the public after 5 years. To mark the occasion, nuns performed hand chops and high kicks, some of them wielding swords, as they showed off their martial arts skills to hundreds of cheering well-wishers. The nuns put on a show of strength. 5 years after the COVID-19 pandemic forced it to close its doors, the group of Kung Fu nuns are members of the 1,000-year-old Drukpa lineage, in fact, which gives nuns equal status as monks and is the only female order in the patriarchal Buddhist monastic system.
So when I was very little, when I was 12, I was a very rebellious kid. I was, when people used to tell me, you shouldn't do this because you're a girl, I used to get very angry when I was little. I was always on that side of, my personality was that way. So when people, His Holiness the Gyalwang Drukpa, our root guru, came to our place and he talked about women empowerment, gender equality, how girls are important, how giving equal chances is important. I was very inspired and I followed him to be a nun.
Usually, nuns are expected to cook and clean and are not allowed to practice any form of martial art. But His Holiness Gyalwang Drukpa, a monk who ranks only slightly below the Dalai Lama in the Tibetan Buddhist hierarchy, decided to train women in Kung Fu to improve their health and their spiritual well-being. He opened the nunnery in 2009 and it now has 300 members between the ages of 6 and 54.
I really want to become a nun, and I have seen that nuns are doing lots of different walks and they also perform the Kung Fu. And you know, I am very happy, I'm really attached with them and I really want to become a nun to help others, like they are helping lots of people at the time also. That's why I decided to become a nun at the young age.
The nuns come from Bhutan, India and Nepal and all are trained in Kung Fu. The nunnery's website saying that the combination of gender equality, physical strength and respect for all living things represents the order's return to its true spiritual roots. Aboard the International Space Station, Indian-American astronaut Sunita Williams and her team are celebrated New Year 16 times. They have started 2025 witnessing a unique phenomenon on board the ISS. 16 sunrises and sunsets. Let's break this down for you. This extraordinary experience is due to the International Space Station's orbit, which completes a lap around Earth every 90 minutes. A post on the ISS's official X account noted, I'm quoting, as 2024 comes to a close today, the EXP-72 crew will see 16 sunrises and sunsets while soaring into the new year. Seen here are several sunsets pictured over the years from the orbital outpost. Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore, who have been at the International Space Station since June 2024, were initially scheduled for an 8-day journey on Boeing Starliner spacecraft. However, technical issues extended their mission, and now they are expected to return in March 2025. This prolonged stay has given them the opportunity to experience the new year in a unique way. Apart from witnessing 16 sunrises and sunsets, they will be eating special meals prepared from fresh ingredients supplied from Earth and place video calls with loved ones. Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore, who spent Christmas at the International Space Station, are celebrating the new year together with their crewmates at the space station. India has opened a new glass bridge connecting two iconic places at the southernmost point of the country's mainland. The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu inaugurated the bridge that connects Vivekananda Rock Memorial with the 133-feet statue of Thiruvalluvar in Kanyakumari. Take a look at these visuals. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching and wishing you all a very happy new year once again. Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Know more? Understand better? Think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter.